But Renee, there's a lot around today. I want to focus on a couple of things in particular. Overnight or late yesterday in WA, they passed euthanasia laws. Now, they say that they are the most liberal in the country. They're indeed a lot more liberal than the recent laws in Victoria. They allow, for instance, any doctor, rather than a doctor specialised in the complaint of which someone has a terminal illness, to sign off. It requires two, but they don't have to be specialist in that particular area, the oncologist or etc. But also they allow the patient to request a nurse or a doctor to administer the drugs. In Victoria, the drugs that commit suicide or commit euthanasia must be self-administered. There's a debate going on in Queensland in relation to euthanasia. How likely is that it'll happen next year prior to the election?
Well, I think there's a few things happening, obviously, because there is an election in October. It would be a mistake for Anastasia Palaszczuk to go down this road, only because, you know, Queensland is struggling with the economy. It needs to get back on track with jobs. It needs to get back on track with having a good, coherent message on resources. When you start going down the track of social issues and not focused on economic ones, you get sidetracked about what the real issues are, what real people are talking about. Now, I've got no doubt that some people want euthanasia to be legalised in Queensland. Campbell Newman is one of them, the former Premier of Queensland, obviously former Liberal Premier. But this should not be core business for a government. Core business for this government should be about the economy and jobs.
Right, the religious bill changes or proposed changes, the bill has been altered from what was formerly circulated, are out there now. What do you make of the attempt to ameliorate concerns by religious orders, organisations, schools, hospitals, etc., in relation to who they might employ?
Yeah, so I think what religious organisations have said is that they want to be able to employ people who share their values. It's very hard to argue against that. I mean, why would you want to hire someone who didn't share your values? It just makes things very difficult. The problem with this bill is that there's too many losers and not enough winners. So you're taking things away from people and there's not much gain for others. I've said this before, I just don't think they need this bill. I think they could do without it. It's a hangover from Malcolm Turnbull. It's a time bomb they don't need. They are also getting distracted on issues that should not be core, that aren't core business. They should be concentrating on the economy, on jobs, not this type of issue. I understand why some in the party are pushing for it, but I just don't think they need it. It's just more heartburn that they get. Probably they won't keep everyone happy. It's very difficult, this area.
Look, it is very difficult, and what they're trying to do is basically thread a needle, right? They're trying to legislate for a religious world and religious rights and a religious freedom of speech in an increasingly secular world. And it's not so much what they're proposing, it's the line and the read by judges once the law gets administered by the courts. That will be the very difficulty in the language of the drafting. So, I mean, I think all credit to Christian Porter that he's managed to get this far, but I'll be interested in the parliamentary inquiries that once this bill hits the chamber, as you know, it'll go off to inquiry in the House and likely the Senate. I'll be interested in the submissions that come forward in that process. We'll see how they go.